So Judy, let's talk about necklines today. How about that?
Yay.
Here we go.
I'm ready. Hi, girls. How are you? Did you miss me for the last 2 weeks? And you know we only have one more left. We only have one more left. So I hope today you brought your cell phone with you so that you can take pictures of necklines that I did not send you. And I did send you a couple of them, of different ones that are on the website. They are not in your book, and that's why I sent those to you, like the boat neck, and I sent you the Jessica top. So both of those, the boat neck comes with the facing on it, which I'm going to show you today, and the Jessica neckline comes with the collar. So at least you've got a few more that you can play with, okay? So basically, and I know you all know this, but I apologize to do it one more time, but I promise you it's the last time I do it. Everybody has the same neckline, and I want to make sure nobody has a question on this. So every single person that buys the pattern has the same neckline. This is the back. Remember, we fold it down, and this is the front, okay? So it's exactly the same neckline. Everything else changes according to who you are and what your figure is and what your shape is. But the neckline for every person is the same, unless you've added for a rounded back. So does that make sense to everybody? And is there a question on just that part? Because I just want to make sure everybody understands we're all starting in exactly the same place. Everybody got that part? Any questions on that part?
So Judy, one of the things, because I know somebody had asked me about, the fronts and backs of shirts a lot of times are different sizes on other patterns, but the adaptation that you'll be making that would make your front or your back of your shirt different is if you made that adaptation for like a curved back or something like that. So that, and it wouldn't be shorter in the arm, under the armpits. It would be short, it would be longer or fitted more around the tailbone.
Right. And the only other time that would happen is if you are very, very broad across your back, but you're very tiny in the front. Then you would have a front and a back. But you would still have, that would be your back neckline, and that would be your front. You would just have two of these as opposed to one. Does that make sense to everybody? You know, your front and your back may be totally different. Again, it depends on your shape and your figure and how you fitted the top to you. Hopefully that makes sense. But the neckline's the same. So this is going to make the neckline class a whole lot easier when we all understand this part. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes. Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to switch cameras back and forth. What I'm going to do, I've got a whole bunch of shirts back here. I'm going to try them on for you because I do think you all get a better idea of what it looks like on instead of just holding the hanger up. So I'm going to do that for you. Now, you've heard me say, and by the way, everybody got this. Yes, everybody got this because I saw that you sent that. You also have, when you print it off, you have a picture of a little girl, all right? And I send that on purpose, and you can print that off as many times as you like. You know, when you start designing your own garments, and that's one of the classes that's I'm going to teach them when I'm there in July. And when I'm there in July, you can bring me a picture of a garment, or you can actually bring the garment, and I can show you how to copy it. Because copying a garment is really, really simple. 99.9% of the time, it's the neckline that you've fallen in love with. So I'll show you how to do that. But I always like to give away this little girl so you can draw on her. You know, now I admit very freely, I don't draw very well. Just like I kill plastic plants, I don't draw very well. I know what I'm drawing. You might look at it and go, oh my God, what is that? But I know what I'm drawing. So whether you can draw or not really has nothing to do with it. If you see a picture in a magazine, I would take a picture of it with your cell phone and then keep it in a folder. I have a folder. I used to be, I'm sorry to tell you, I'm sorry to admit this. I was the person that when you went to the doctor's office, the story didn't go on because a page was missing. I had the page. I used to tear pages out. You know, if it was a really cool garment, I would tear pages out and I would keep it in a folder. Now I keep that folder on my cell phone. And when I want to do something different or when I want a little inspiration, I will go back to that folder. I have said this many, many times, turn on the television, watch your newscasters. They sit perfectly still and you can take a picture of them on TV. You want to get close to the TV so you can take the picture. Our weather girls, they do the same thing. Now, I do take a lot of pictures of people on TV. You kind of have to wait until they stand still so you can get a good picture of them. But that's where I get a lot of my ideas. And I probably told you this story before. If I didn't, hang on a second. If I'm at lunch with you and I would say to you, oh, I love your top. Could I take a picture of you? And you say yes. I'm probably leaning over, taking a picture of the lady that's sitting behind you. I may take you a picture too, but I take the picture of the lady sitting behind you. So there's all kinds of ways to get inspiration for necklines. And necklines really change the garment. You know, one of the things that, and I had forgotten how much fun it was until I got out there last week, you know, one-on-one with ladies, but they were amazed at the trunk show. And they said to me, gosh, everything looks so different. And I said, but it's all the same pattern. It's all the same front, back, and sleeve. It's the neckline that changes. It's the sleeve that changes, which you all learned before. It's whether it's a jacket or it's a pull over your head kind of a top. It's different fabric. I don't ever use the same fabric twice. So all of those things make the garment different. I probably have, and this is my little rack, which I love now because then I don't have to roll around my big one. I probably have 10 times this amount of clothes, and they're every one of them totally different because they're different fabrics. So it's a real easy way to get a wardrobe, and collars, necklines are the way to do it. They're fun. Okay. So I'm going to go through these. Like I said, keep your cell phone handy. So if you want to take a picture, you can. I'm going to go through these. You can draw on this little girl if you wanted to, or you can take a picture of the things that are not in the book. And there are some things that are not in the book. If you go to my website, you can buy certain variations one at a time. Okay. But most of the stuff I'm going to show you today is in the book. So I'm going to go from this paper, this one right here, okay, that I sent you. So I'm going to start with the Dondi. Now, the Dondi neckline, how many of you have tried this? Anybody tried it? Made the Dondi at all? Yes? Did you like it, Phyllis? Yes. You love it. You don't have your microphone on. Turn your microphone on or off or whatever.
I've made several of the Dondi necklines. I love it.
Yes, I do too. It's a great neckline.
Mm-hmm.
This again is ITY. We've talked about this before. So it hangs, it has a really pretty hang to it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks good on everybody. If you joined FitNice Sewing Sisters, you saw the pictures of all of the ladies and most of the ladies that were at the class last weekend when I was in Fargo, and most of them did this neckline, did the Dondi. And it's just one of those wonderful necklines that hangs beautifully on everybody. So, except if you use heavy fabric. So I'm going to show you how to change that because there is a way to change this very easily. And a couple of the ladies did have heavier fabrics, which there's nothing wrong with heavier fabrics. I love heavier fabrics, but we're going to change it a little bit for the Dondi. So if you want to take a picture of what I'm going to show you in a minute, I will stop long enough for you to take this picture. Now, if you remember, the Dondi neckline is 13 inches tall. See, it's 13 inches tall. You fold it in half, and that half winds up being 6.5 inches. So this is 6.5 inches tall. Now, if you remember on the Dondi, you cut that and you stitch the short distance in the back, and then you fold it in half. And this is what you're seeing on this shirt. You scoop the neckline, okay? And Phyllis, I know you probably have done this. You probably scoop the neckline what you liked in the
Yeah.
and hopefully you transferred that scoop to your master pattern. Then you don't have to guess at it anymore. But I'm going to show you something just a little bit different. So let me lay this up here on my other screen. Now, this fabric that I'm going to show you is heavy. And I don't know if you all can even tell that by the way I'm jiggling it, because this is lightweight and this is heavy. There used to be a fabric, and I'm so sorry it's gone, that used to be called Sophia. And the company went out of business. And if you've watched very many of my videos, sometimes I refer to Sophia, and I wish I had never done that because now they're out of business. But Sophia, for lack of a better word, is a double knit. And it's a little bit heavier double knit. Now, you remember I told you all I like a little bit heavier fabric. I love the ITY, but I like a little bit heavier fabric because it kind of skims your body as opposed to hugging your body, okay? So that's one of the reasons, but I'm gonna show you what you need to do, because if you did the 13 inches out of heavy fabric, it would kind of like stand up. And I wanna, and I've talked about this before, so I'm gonna turn around and show you my neck. God forgot to keep going on me, so I don't have any neck. But what happens with people that don't have any neck, it's not so much I don't have any neck here, I don't have any neck in the back. So my hairline literally touches my collar. And I'm going to turn around and show you this. So you can see there's my hairline and there's the collar to the Dondi. And that's fine if it's lightweight. That's not fine if it's heavyweight, like I'm going to show you now. But you can fix it. That's the best part. So let me lay this up here and I'm going to show you exactly how you do this, because it's extremely simple to do. Hold on, let me turn this over. Lay this up here. Just hold on 1 second. Okay. Now let me go to my other camera. And again, if you have any questions while I'm showing you this, all you have to do is stop me and say Judy, and I will answer you. Okay, now can you see that's my Dondi neckline? And if Phyllis is the only one that has done this, and she recognizes this, don't you, Phil? Mm-hmm. So this is my tube, if you want to call it that, of fabric that is in the neckline that you see on me right now. This is the 13 inches folded in half. And so this is 6.5 inches. Can you see that? This fold that will go in the back of my neckline, and this is the front of my neckline. Everybody understand that? This is the fold in the back, or the seam. This one I had to piece, but the seam would be in the center back, and this would be the center front, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to measure up about 2 inches, and I'm going to cut on an angle. I'm not removing anything on the center front. What I'm removing is the center back. So this is what it looks like when you've cut it off, okay? Now, let me take this shirt off, and I'm gonna put this over my head so that you can see this. And I'm sure you all remembered what that shirt looked like. So hold on a minute, let me come back to you. And again, if you have a question, let me know. So this is the part now on the double knit. This is the center back. Can you see how short it is? So when I sew this on to my garment, this is what's going to happen. Let me pull my screen down a little bit. And I think you can even see this because this still hangs beautifully, even though it's heavy. This is a double knit. It's heavier, but the front hangs beautifully. Mm-hmm. Can you see there's nothing in the back? So questions on that?
I like that.
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
So if you number one, don't like it bunched up in the back, and there's a lot of people don't like it bunched up in the back. I've told you all this before. I love sweater knit. And so next week, I'm going to show you some things to do with sweater knit. But when you get sweater knit and it gets bulky around your neck, that's a lot of bulk. So this is a great way to do this. So let me lay this back down for you. And then if you have a question, I'll answer it. But you may want to take a picture of what I'm showing you. Does everybody want to take a picture? Mm-hmm. Second, let me take this off. And I'm going to lay it back down. Does anybody have a question while I'm laying this back down? No? No? Okay. Let me change cameras here real quick. Okay, now can you see? So this is the back, and you can see how little it is, and this is the center front. Okay. And it really is a good, I don't ever want to not do any fabric. I would never say, oh, well, don't do that. That fabric's not going to work, because it will all work. You just have to tweak it a little bit. And that's my tweak for the Dondi. Okay. Any questions? Everybody get that? Okay, Margaret, I saw you got yours. Okay, so let me come back to you. So it's just a really great way to add, a little bit heavier fabric. And I don't know that you said this to me or not, Jill. I'm sorry, you're walking away. I'm sorry. Robert Kaufman also sells, and I don't know that you said you did get it or you didn't get it, French terry.
We do have French terry.
From Robert Kaufman?
From Robert Kaufman. And then we also
Oh my God, that is the most.
It is nice. The other one that I was going to mention too is we carry all their Laguna knits, which Laguna, a lot of times people will try to make it for t-shirts, and it's almost too close to the skin to do. But if you do that Dondi out of the Laguna, Laguna is like, it actually has a nice little curl. And you might find it annoying, but it's great for edge finishes and stuff. So it's a lighter weight knit. It's not like the ITY. It doesn't have the slinky feature to it. You want something that's a good cotton with a little bit of spandex in it, that one. But yes, we have the French terry.
The French terry that she's got, you all need to check it out, because this is the first time I had seen it, because she had it. And not only is the feel of it gorgeous, but I love the right and the wrong side to it. The right side looks like your knits. I mean, it looks just like your knits, but the wrong side almost has a brushed finish to it. So you literally could use the Dondi out of one side and the shirt out of the other. As distance, you wouldn't really see that much of a difference in the color, but you would in the texture. And it's just enough to change the texture a little bit. But it's really a beautiful fabric, but it's heavy. It's heavy. So you would probably want to do this to the Dondi if you decided to do a Dondi out of the French terry. Okay. Do you agree with that, Jill? Because you've seen it in person.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've seen a lot of people do some very loosely constructed jackets out of it. And you pay a lot for like a French terry, like a jacket for this time of year. And they basically are only, the shoulder seams and the side seams, and that's all there is to them.
It's a Serena jacket.
Yeah, you don't serge it, you don't hem it, you flip it up.
You cut it and wear it. Yeah.
Well, and people are
cut and wear.
You will pay probably like at a good boutique like $200 for a jacket, and you all can make that with 4 seams. You got it.
It's easy, and you can do it on your serger too. Yay. We can do it on our sergers too. The Serena jacket is in your all's book if you want to look it up later. But that French terry would be beautiful for the Serena jacket. So anybody have any questions on this neckline? So this is just a little bit different. That's why I suggested that you take a picture of it. Okay. So the next one that I want to talk about is the Mara top, and it is in your book. And if you noticed, I gave you page numbers. If you all are following me in the book, I did give you a page number on this, and I'm going to show you the Mara top in a different color than you all see on that picture. I would love to put this on for you, but it's a size 6. Anyway, can you see that we made the sleeves black, and then the body of the shirt is in the red? Now on your master pattern, and I just lost that. I had it up here a minute ago because that's what we were talking about. One of the PDFs that is on your master pattern is how to do the princess line. And I know I've talked about this many, many times before. I love the princess line. I think it's a really good option for you if you want something a little bit different. But I want to show you how to cheat on the princess line, because that's what this is. This is cheating. I drew the princess line on the shirt itself. If you can see this, see right here, I drew that on there with chalk, so I knew where it was. And all this is a cover stitch. That's all it is. There's no seam in this at all. It's just the cover stitch. So that's kind of like a cheating princess line, which I love. I think it really looks cute. Y'all like that one? It's really cute. So the Mara top is your Dondi. if you look at it like this, it is your Dondi. It has a draw cord in it. So it's just turned over and top stitched. So it's hemmed. So this is your whole 13 inches. Okay. It's not folded in half. And it does give you a pretty big neckline. That's up to you, whether you like that or not. I don't wear turtlenecks. If it gives you an idea, I can't wear turtlenecks because any turtleneck that I would ever make would come up to here because I just don't have one. I don't have a turtle. But anyway, this is really cute on a lot of people. It would drive me crazy because it's high, but that's totally up to you. It's just another option to look at. And I do love the draw cord. I think that's really cute. I will tell you that one of my ladies at a retreat, she made the Mara, but she made it 22 inches tall like this. And I saw her working on it and I said, what are you doing? If you don't mind me asking. Just so I'm making the Mara top. And I said, wow, that's really long. She said, I'm going to show you why. And she put it on and she made it like a hood. And it was really cute. And I thought, now there's another idea. You're doing exactly the same thing. You're just making this taller. That's all it was. And she literally could put it over her head. So you could make that as big as you wanted to. That's totally up to you. But that was a really cute idea to put it over her head, you know, as her hood. I mean, there are hood patterns in that book, but that was a great way to do.
Judy, can you hold up that with the princess seam, the faux
Sure,
princess
yeah.
seam?
I'll tell you what, let me back up a little bit so you can see the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, isn't that cute?
That's brilliant because, you know,
Yeah.
especially like you wouldn't be chopping your fabric down and creates that.
Yeah, there's no seam.
Yeah,
So
you could also do that with a double needle too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the cover stitch is a great use for cover stitch.
Yeah. I'll hold that up close so that you can see it. Can you all see that? It's just a cute way it's just a really cute way to finish it. I have done this and I'll be talking about that next or week after next in the details class because I have made jackets and in next class, when I do the details class, a lot of this, I always tell you to go back and shop your closets because you can take things that are already in your closet and really change them up by some of the ideas that I'm going to give you. And one of them is you take a strip of fabric or even better, a strip of suede or ultra suede or pleather. You don't really need real leather, just pleather. You buy it at Joann's, you know, that cheap stuff. Or anything you have at home. Now, to me, fabric is fabric no matter where you got it. You can get it at Goodwill and you can cut something up or maybe something you already have. But what I do is I've done jackets like this and I actually glued that trim on to make it look like a princess seam, but it wasn't. So do you know how much work you saved not doing it that way? Now I glue it on with steam seam and then I go back and I stitch it. I would never just glue. And then I stitch it down. So you've got that princess seam look, but you don't have the work of doing the princess seam. So that's a nice shortcut. So isn't that a good idea? Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So the next neckline that is on your paper is called the Katherine top. And I always smile when I see this picture of this is my friend that's in the Katherine top. I always smile when I see that because if you've ever watched Grey's Anatomy, anybody watch Grey's Anatomy? Remember Katherine Heigl when she was on there? Well, she wore this top exactly like you see on that lady. And you all have the directions because I sent it to you and the facing. Now, here's the deal with changing your neckline. This is so simple. Whatever you do to a neckline. So let's just say, let me get my thing over here.
Judy, did you know that Katherine Heigl sews?
That she what?
She sews.
Does she?
She owns a Bernina.
No, I did not know.
We have a picture somewhere. I'll have to pull it out and see. We have a picture of her buying a Bernina, and she's walking out the box, carrying it herself. Like that's the way to do it, right?
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Cute.
You know, it's fun to hear that people like that do so because you know they have creativity, and you know they get to see all the clothes we don't get to see. You know, that kind of stuff, and a lot of that you wouldn't copy. I mean, it's just not something, you know, we're not going to wear gowns unless, of course, somebody invites us someplace. I don't know. So this is my board. And let's just say, okay, let's just say that this is my neckline. Okay. This is my shoulder, my armhole, and this is my neckline. And I want to do something really funky to that neckline. I just want to do something funky. So let's just say that I think it would be kind of cool to make points to it. I'm not sure I would do this, but let's just say. And let's just say I would only want to make points on one side, and then I want to make scallops on the other. Now, that's not called drinking. That's called something fun. So all you need to do to make this work is, first of all, when you cut your fabric like this, now let me cut away the lines so that you all can see what that would look like if I decided to use this as a neckline. Now, this is when I'm talking about that little girl that I sent you. See, that's kind of a funky neckline, right? So this would be your garment. You would put French fuse on this part of it because you got points. Anytime that you have points, you don't want the points to curl. You want them to stand up because that's why you make points. Anytime you do anything that has a little bit more body to it, the French fuse is going to give it that body. So you would put French fuse on the garment itself, okay? Then you would make a facing that looked exactly like this. So you would make this much of the facing. It would look exactly like that. And you would put French fuse on that. Then you would put them right side to right side, and you would sew with a 1/2 inch seam all the way around, flip the points, turn the whole thing to the inside, and that would be your neckline. Does that make sense to everybody? So you don't need anything special. You really don't. You just need your creativity. So if you see a neckline that you just absolutely love, that you want to copy, this is the way you copy it. Now, again, I don't draw very well. So I would probably take my pattern itself. So I would take a big pattern like this, and I would actually make a new one, and I would draw on it. Now, most of your neckline changes happen in the front, not the front and the back. Now, you can do the front and the back, but I usually just do it to the front. So whatever I would want to draw, I would draw it on here. And now this is a little bitty when you would draw it on your master pattern. And then, my secret to doing all this is you take it to a mirror, you hold it up to yourself in a mirror. And before you cut anything out of fabric or interface anything, you go, oh, no, I don't think so. Because it gives you an idea as to what it's going to look like before you cut it out and interface it and sew it together. And take your time, because your time is a lot more valuable than anything else, I promise you. So that way, whatever you've done to it, it doesn't really matter because you haven't done anything to the pattern itself. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes. Okay. Now, I love friction pins. You all know what I'm talking about, the friction pins that they sell? Because I can draw on this, and if I go, no, I can heat it, and that pin mark disappears. And I don't care if it reappears, doesn't matter, because it's on my pattern. It's not on my fabric. So it's on my pattern. So this is a really great idea to give yourself a sample before you go wacko with all these different lines. Does that make sense to everybody? So the next time you see something really cool, you can copy it. The secret to copying it is French fuse. Hate to say, but it is. It's French fuse. And you can buy that from Jill. She sells that. It's amazing what the French fuse will do to your fabric and do to whatever design you choose to use. Okay. So even though this is wacky, and it is, I don't think I'd ever want to do that, but it's kind of wacky. But it would be fun, maybe not to do the scallops, but it would be fun to do the points, or it would be fun to do the whole thing scalloped, your whole neckline scallop. It's just something different. I know that I'm not sure you believe me, but that really is what changes the look of the garment. It's just that neckline. And whether you make them higher, you make them lower, you make them V-neck, or you make them scoop neck, that all changes with the neckline. That makes sense? Now, I know you all know this, but I'm going to remind you again, on the back of your pattern, you have templates. Did you all know you have templates? You have a U-shaped template, and you have 4 3 or 4 V-neck templates. I would suggest you make a template. All right. Now, Phyllis, since you're the one that's done the Dondi, you may want to make a template for your Dondi, however low you cut your Dondi. This is cardstock. You can buy cardstock at a office supply place. I really like cardstock because it doesn't tear up as fast as maybe, you know, a piece of paper would, but it's a great way to make yourself a template. Now, I think I've told you all this. If I haven't told you, I'll tell you now. This is the way I store my patterns. I love the freezer bags. I don't know what brand it is, but the freezer, probably Ziploc freezer bags. And the reason I like the freezer bags is the freezer bags have a little space on the front of them where you can write with a marker and it doesn't come off because that's what you're supposed to put in the freezer. And I mark my patterns, what it is that I'm making, whether I'm making the Katherine top or the Jessica top or whatever it is that I'm making. And I put my templates and I put my pattern in that bag. And then I have a hole punch. I bet everybody has a hole punch. And I punch a hole in the top of it. And you know the rings that you can buy at the hardware store that come apart like this? So I have all of my knit tops on one ring. I have all of my jackets on another ring. I have all of my coats on another ring and my dresses on another one. So all of them are on rings. So all I have to do is hang the rings up. It's a lot easier than putting them in a box because then you have to go through the box when you're trying to find something. It's really simple if you just put them on the rings. So you may want to check that out and you know, save them that way. I would always make a template. Whatever neckline you're going to do, no matter how wacky or how easy it is, make yourself a template because then you've always got that template. And like Phyllis made the Dondi. So that means she's cut her neckline down. And if she likes that neckline, she wants to know exactly how low that neckline was because you know you liked it. Okay. And that's really, it's just a really good thing to keep the template. Now, when you know, scoop out your pattern, this would be like for just a scoop neck, like if you were going to put Chanel trim. And you can see that would be the front of it. So that's what, well, let me turn it back this way. It's easier to see. So that's what your neckline would be like. Okay. That's just for a scoop neck. If you make yourself a scoop neck, I suggest you make yourself a template because if you like a certain length of it, and by that, I mean cutout part of it, then you need to remember it. And the only way you're going to remember is with a template. Now, some people like them low, like me. Some people like them really high. Totally up to you as to what you like. So you get to do your neckline the way you want to do it. Now, if you're going to do a Dondi, you want to cut it a little bit lower. And you can see this again, it's a U shape and it's cut a little bit lower. And it's cut lower because you're going to flip back in with a bit of fabric. So that's the reason it's cut lower. Again, totally up to you as to how low you want it to cut it. As far as the V-neck goes, you've got choices in your V-neck. Again, if you like the V-neck, wherever you like it, I would cut yourself a template. So there's your V-neck. Some people like their V-necks really high. Some people like their V-necks really low. Keep one thing in mind when you make a V-neck. And just, you have a template on the back of your pattern. You're going to fill it back in. So you got to keep that in mind. This is not where it's going to end. It's going to end like 1.5 inches above this line. So you need to keep that in mind and make sure that you cut it low enough. But once you have a template, you're going to know exactly what you like and what you want to see done over and over and over again. So let me show you the Katherine top, because this is really simple. So this is the front of my garment. Can you see that I have cut kind of like a triangle out? And this, wait a minute. This is what the pattern's going to look like after you're finished. Easy. So let me show you the garment. I'm going to show you the garment. Don't have it finished yet, but I think you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And you, wait a minute, hold on. It's kind of hard to hold this one up. Can you see that neckline? And it's a really cute neckline because you see where the points are. You could connect those points with jewelry, with chain, with buttons on a string. There's all kinds of things that you could do with it. But one of the things that I love, and you all saw that picture, if you printed off the PDF that Jill sent you, you saw that picture. You can fill in the bottom part. Can you see the bottom part where I am? So let's just say you accidentally cut that too low. Oh my God, now what am I going to do? Because I've ruined my shirt. No, you haven't. All you have to do is fill it back in with another piece of fabric. And you could be an opposite color. It could be the same color. It could be lace. It could be a print. You don't necessarily have to do it the same color. And you could keep filling it in until you liked exactly where that ended. But the Katherine top is kind of a different kind of a top, and it really is pretty when it's done. Now, that also has a facing to it. And you have the facing pattern on the directions that were on that PDF. You want to interface that because it's points. Remember, it's points that go like this. And those points need to be stabilized. And the best way to stabilize them is with French fuse. Simple, simple, easy, easy to do. Are there any questions, whoops, on the Katherine top? Anybody have
You would self-face that? Would you self-face that with the French?
I do. And there's a facing pattern on those directions itself. You could face it. It's not going to show. So you could face it with a print if you wanted to, or you could face it with the same fabric that you're using. One of the things that hold on one second, I dropped it. One of the things that's really fun, and I've done this a couple of times, is if you have it like this, I'll just do one side here. And let's say that you faced it with a print, you could take this part and fold it back like that, and the print would show. So that kind of stuff is just fun to do. And those are some of the pictures that I sent you on that PDF. Okay. So are there any questions on the Katherine top?
Judy, this is not so much just the Katherine top, but you said something about French fusing, like when you do points on a neckline, you French fuse the front piece. Would you French fuse the entire front?
No.
You only go down so far?
No. If you have a really, really lightweight fabric, like the one that's behind me right here, this one has French fuse on the whole front because the fabric was really thin to begin with. I'm going to talk about this one in a second. So this one is all the way French fuse. This is a heavier fabric than I'm holding up for the Katherine. So you would only need to French fuse this much of it. And that would be the facing that I gave you on the PDF. And you would French fuse the garment exactly the same amount that you French fuse the facing. That makes sense. And then your points would stay still. And the only reason I want the points to stay still is if you decide to play with those points, but you also don't want them flopping over. And that's what would happen if you didn't put any French fuse there. They would be kind of namby-pamby and they wouldn't stay still.
That's what I wondered, how much it would show through if you didn't do the entire front of your shirt.
If you're working with a heavy fabric like this, okay, this is a little bit heavier fabric, it would not show through at all. But I always tell you with French fuse, always test it. Always, always, always. So take a piece of fabric. All you have to do is to iron a strip of French fuse, hold it up to the light. If you can see the line, you'd want to French fuse the whole thing.
Okay.
Because I tried it with this garment, and I think you can see how thin this garment is. Hold on. Wait a minute. Never can get these right. Hold on. I need to move. That's my problem. So I think you can see, because the sleeves are not French fuse. See how lightweight this is? So I wanted, there's a hole in here. There's a hole in the top of my shirt. And I wanted that hole to stay next to me. So I French fused the whole front. I also wanted to give a little bit more body at the shoulders. Remember, we talked about doing that with shoulder pads before. And so I wanted to give that just a little bit more stability and a little bit more constructed look. So I just French fused the whole front. So it really kind of depends on what kind of neckline you're making for yourself. Okay. And if you look at all of the garments, that if you're looking at that paper that's in front of you that you printed out for today, probably the only one on there that I would French fuse the whole thing would be the Katherine top. You really wouldn't need, as long as it has weight to it, as long as the fabric has weight to it. And when I say weight, if I'm holding this up, can you see this is not very flimsy? Can you see how flimsy that one is? So you can see the weight just by doing that to it. You can see the weight. And is one better than another? Nope. That's really up to you as to what you like. Like the camisole that I have on is called double. Now they don't make it anymore, but it's called double weight Slinky. Do all of you know what Slinky is? Yes. Some of you are looking at me like, oh, I'm not quite sure. If you've ever watched HSN or QVC, there was a lady on there and it was called Travel Clothes, and they were all out of Slinky. Now they don't make Slinky anymore. They took it off the market. EPA took it off the market because it had acetate in it. So they literally took it off the market. If you know Chico's, everybody know Chico's? Okay, Chico's used to sell almost a whole store, was Slinky. You don't find it anymore either. Barbara and I were out shopping before all this started. We were out shopping and we were in a Chico's, and both of us love Chico's. We're terrible on Chico's. We love Chico's. We love looking at the garments. We love trying them on, and we love going, ooh, this would be fun to make. Here, take a picture of me. Anyway, we also love jewelry. But we were in there one day and she yelled at me and she said, oh my God, come here, they've got Slinky. Well, they had a little bitty section of Slinky garments. And when we turned the tag over, it was made in Mexico. So you're not going to find anything made out of Slinky anymore, I'm sorry to say. But this stuff, and I have no idea where this, I mean, I know where I got the fabric, they're out of business, but I have no idea where the fabric ever started. I love this fabric because it's heavy, but it's got ribs in it. So it has a little detail all by itself, and it makes wonderful tank tops. The tank top I have on, and I'll show it to you. The tank top I have on is probably 12 years old. And I know that you all seen this at least 6 or at least 4 other times in the classes that I've taught, because this is my uniform, because I can take the garments off and on. So this is my uniform.
So Slinky is, you see it a lot like at Von Mauer.
Oh yeah.
Department stores. So you saw it like they'd have it, mostly they carried black, and
yes,
occasionally you'd see chocolate or navy. They'd go through a season, but they couldn't keep the colors consistent. And
yeah.
so if you bought it in the season. But there were several companies that carried it. At the store, we've been picking up, like, as Judy said, like the French terry and things like that. One of our manufacturers, Robert Kaufman, does a really good job of, they supply to a lot of manufacturers. So manufacturing is probably them and Baum Textiles do a lot of manufacturing. So you see,
and it's what we all want.
Yeah,
because that's what we see in the store. And that's one of the things that I love about Robert Kaufman is because the fabrics that Jill has in her store that are made by Robert Kaufman, I would call extremely, extremely good fabric. You all always want to know what good fabric is.
Yeah.
About right in your store. I mean, I love Robert Kaufman. I love Kona cotton. If you all ever quilted Kona cotton, that comes from Robert Kaufman. So the quality in Robert Kaufman's, now I'm not saying anybody else doesn't have quality. Please don't get me wrong. It just, I know Robert Kaufman and I know the products that they produce, and they're of your retail quality. And
there's another product that they carry, and we have it in the store, and we've had it for a long time, and it's quilters picked up on it. It's called Radiance. So Radiance is a silk and cotton. And so it was used for whole cloth quilts, but we have a lot of people who make blouses out of it. So you want things that you make that you're going to be wearing for a long period of time, because you're talking about classic styles that you're moving over to and working in. I'll be seeing Frank Capiello, who's the national sales manager for Robert Kaufman, and he's going to be bringing more garment fabric before we meet in July. So I've been in communication with him about that too. So
good. Tell him I love these products.
And Judy,
I really do love Robert Kaufman's products, and I've talked about that before. But you know, you're putting your time in. Your time is not replaceable. If you're putting your time in and your energy into a garment, you want to use the best fabrics. I've told you all this before. I do retreats. And I'll walk up to a table when a lady's cutting out and she goes, oh, I'm so glad I brought this. I only paid 50 cents a yard for it. I'm thinking, How would you do that? I'm standing here next to you. I'm helping you with what you're doing. And you use that. And what's going to happen when she's through with it? What's going to happen? She's going to have 50 cent a yard fabric. And her garment's going to look like 50 cent a yard fabric. So do yourself a favor and use good fabric. Don't use junk, because I know that you want to try it out. Okay. But when you use junk, you end up with junk. You have a question, Deb?
Judy, I wanted to ask you, your camisole, do you have a pattern for that? Is that, because I haven't seen it in your book.
Listen, it's not in the book. It didn't make it in the book. They have no idea why. I'm going to show you two different kinds of camisoles today, but you can go to the website and you can purchase just the download for the camisole.
Perfect.
Yes, and it's called Cami 2 Ways or something like that. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
You can. I love camisoles. It's really funny. Now, I've been in the same amount of time you guys have been in, okay? And in the meantime, when I was in, I had, I know I told you all this, I had my knee replaced. So I sat around for a while. I have been cold since the pandemic started, wearing jackets and sweaters and sweatshirts that I never wore before because I was always hot. And my husband has said to me a couple of times, "You feel okay?" And I go, "Yeah, why?" And he said, "You know, you have a sweatshirt." I'm like, "Yeah, I know it." And I'm cold. I'm just cold. So I was so excited about going to Fargo to teach. Okay. I knew it was cold there. Oh my God. I thought I was going to die the first day. I thought that, in fact, she laughed at me. She said, "Honestly, I thought you were going to melt." She said, "You were so hot." And I thought, okay, back to normal Judy. So I'm back to normal Judy. So I like to wear camisoles because I can wear them under jackets. So if I do get hot, I can take my jacket off and I'm still cool. Sometimes people look at me a little strange when it's, snow outside, but I know that I'm going to be comfortable. So I like camisoles. I'm going to show you two here in just a minute. I probably have 10 or 15 different camisoles in different colors because I like them that well. So go on the website, click on the variations, and then go to it that way. Okay, so we've done the Katherine top, we've done the Dondi, and we've done funky. Okay, we've done anything funky. Now, a minute ago, I showed you the Mara top where I crossed over the bust. I drew it on there, and then I did a cover stitch. But Jill is absolutely right. You could use a double needle to do that decoration, or you could even use a triple needle to do any kind of a detail that made that princess line stand out. So if you look at the next top is called the Seaside top. And you can see that it's black and white stripe, and one of the stripe goes horizontal and one of the stripe goes vertical. It's just, I kind of like stripes. I think they're kind of fun to play with. So in this one, the only thing you need to keep in mind, whenever you go asymmetrical, okay, and I love going asymmetrical on one side, not necessarily two sides, that would be your princess line, but just asymmetrical on one side. It needs to be what you are. Now, when you read the directions and you look at the way I'm telling you to do the princess line, you are going to take your master top, and I had it sitting here, here it is. You're going to take your master top, and there's a picture of this on your directions, and you're going to fold the neckline down. You're going to hold it up to yourself in a mirror, and you're going to take a marker, okay? And you're going to mark exactly where your bust point is, because that princess line needs to go right over your bust point, not mine, but yours. So can you see everybody is going to be different? Some of you are going to be up here, some of you are going to be down there, some of you are going to be up there, and some are going to be, it doesn't matter. It's you. And the only way you can find it, the only way, is to hold it up to yourself in a mirror and find where your bust point is. I had a lady online when I did an expo online a couple of months ago, and I was talking about mark your bust point. And she kept, getting online. She goes, "I don't know what you mean by bust point." Bust point? And then I kept pointing to myself, and she goes, "I don't understand what you mean." And I said, "Your nipple." And she went, "Oh, okay, I got you." I'm like, she must not have never heard the word bust point. Anyway, it doesn't matter what you want to call it. Now, when you do a princess line, You can either do it into your sleeve like you saw on the red one, or you can do it straight up. It's totally up to you. You can do either or, but you will have the directions on your master pattern. One of the PDFs is how to create a princess line. So if you look on that black and white picture, that covers the bust line. So you want to make sure that when you're making the garment, that's what you cover, okay? And here's kind of the reasoning on this. And I know that you've seen this before. If you've ever tried on a princess line and the princess line was like right here, okay? You look like you've borrowed somebody else's top because it's not you. And you can see in the mirror, it's not you. Or it's way out here. It's really way out here. Then it looks like that's somebody else's shirt too, because it's too big on you. So we want this covering right where we are. Does that make sense to everybody? And there is no magic number to that because every one of you on here will be something different, okay? So I'm going to show you a bias line. Now, I love bias lines. I really do. I love stripes. And I think I shared this with you all, but I'm not sure that I shared this with you all. My mother, I've always looked like this. And my mother told me when I was very young that big girls don't wear stripes. And of course, being the perfect daughter that I was, perfect teenager that I was, I said, why? And she went, I don't know, they just don't. And that was not an answer for me. So honestly, I think it made me love stripes even more. You know how teenagers are. Do you all remember how teenagers are? I do. It hasn't been that long. Anyway, I love stripes, but I do love stripes on the bias. And I do love the shirt that you all have on that paper, the seaside top, where they go vertical and they go horizontal. So you need a break in them, literally. If you like stripes like I do, and boy, are stripes popular right now. If you like stripes like I do, when you break it up, and that's kind of what I'm going to show you here in just a second, when you break it up anyway, all right, then you've got a good look for you. So now I'm going to put this shirt on and then I'm going to stand up and back up so you all can see the whole length of it. So I literally have done this in a bias line. Can you see that? And then I covered the center of it. Now I have to tell you, when I first made the shirt, and this was kind of fun. You know, I told you before, there are no mistakes. There's only design opportunities in these garments. And if you look at this very carefully, and my tank is going to show through on this. So let me pull the tank down just a second so that you can see that a little bit better. And I will stand up. Now, two things I want to tell you. When you do a bias line on a garment, I suggest you do a dolman sleeve. Can you see the dolman sleeve? The reason being, when you do an armhole and you put a sleeve in, how are you going to do the stripe? You can't keep going with it on the bias. So you could do it vertically or you could do it horizontally, depending on the stretch of the fabric. But see how much easier it is if you do it as a dolman sleeve? So it just kind of goes into itself. Now, this is short sleeve. You could make it much longer if you wanted to. So I made this top and I kind of didn't like it. I just didn't like it. The bias is matched, but it just, there's something wrong with it. So I'm going to stand up and show you what I'm talking about. And again, these are one of those wonderful details, and I'll probably bring this back again in 2 weeks to show you this as a detail. Now, can you see how slimming that is? And you know what makes it slimming? This is stripe right here, the one that covers right here. And that's because I did this stripe straight up and down. But I started by using just a piece of black fabric and I glued that to my shirts. And then I tried the shirt on and I thought, nope, that's not it. It looks nice, but that's not it. And then I just turned the stripe the other way and it just gave it a whole different look. Now this neckline is asymmetrical. If you look at it, this neckline is over to the side a little bit. Can you see this? So this is a scoop neck, but it's over to the side. So it gives you interest. When people look at you, I think you all think they look at your face and only your face, they don't. When people look at you, they're looking at this whole area, the neckline, the whole area. So I think, and that, by the way, that's what you all look at when you look in a mirror. You're not looking just here, unless you got a, thing on like they put on you, that apron when you cut your hair. Other than that, you're looking at your whole neckline and your face and your hair and the whole thing. It's a whole look. So that's one of the reasons I'm more careful with necklines, and I want that kind of difference in the necklines. Okay. So does anybody have any questions on this? This is in your book, by the way. This one is in your book.
I do.
Okay, go
The
ahead.
back, I didn't notice in the back. Is there a seam in the back or is it just a,
Nope. Hold on. Here you go.
okay. Okay.
You're going to laugh at this, Miss Brenda. You're going to laugh at this because I don't very seldom even do princess lines in the back. And if you all watch the video, you've met Barbara. Barbara is one of these people. I wish upon every one of you a friend like Barbara. But anyway, because she's golden. But anyway, she said to me one day when I made the statement, I don't really kind of do anything to the back of my garments. And she says, why not? And I said, well, I can't see the back. She said, no, but I do. And I went, oh, okay, time out. You're right. But I don't. There's a lot of times I don't even do the princess line. But it is the front that you're looking at, you know, kind of thing. And I didn't see any reason to waste the fabric on the back, so I just didn't. Anybody else have a question on this one? So do you all like the look of this? Do you all like the look of this? It's slimming, isn't it? And you all can see I'm not slim, but it is. It's very slimming. And I think it's the bias lines that give it that look. So I'm a big fan of bias lines. I love bias lines because they do give you a really slim look. And I love the strip. I think the strip really turned out cute. Now, the edges of this were done on the serger, and I'm going to take it off so I can hold it up to you all a little closer. And this is an old technique called lettuce edging. Y'all remember lettuce edging? A million years ago, all we did was zigzag stitch and pull at the same time. This one was done on a serger. But you could do this on your regular machine. But can you see? Oh, wait a minute. Leave it up to me. Maybe you see a little bit better. It's almost like a ruffle, but not really. Just a little bit. Can y'all see that? So all it's done, I had a heavy thread in the upper looper and a heavy thread in the lower looper and just a regular thread in the needle thread. And I'm a cheapskate, so I only had 3 threads in there. I didn't even do 4. And I pulled the knit while it was doing an overcast stitch. That's it. That's all I did. And it ruffles it, but it doesn't ruffle it like do you remember, did you all ever do lettuce edging when you did a zigzag stitch? And I mean, you pulled the hell out of that thing and it just like that. It was just so cute.
The other one is some of the people on this
Too old to be cute.
Yeah, some of the people on the list that I'm seeing, some of you have the wave stitch on the Baby Lock machine. So the Baby Lock has a wave stitch. It's beautiful for this. It's a really good.
Beautiful for this. Yes.
Keely has a class that is 15 techniques on the Triumph or the Ovation. And so she's got that coming up. I'll put that in my notes to get that out there for you too.
Yeah, how many of you've done the waist stitch? You've done the waist stitch? Yeah. Have you done it in a solid color or have you done it in 2 colors?
2 colors. It looks really cool.
Oh my God, is it not fun?
Yeah.
And so amazing how, let me ask you this before I ask you that question. How many of you have embroidery machines? Okay, how many of you sit there and watch it? Stitch out? Are you just like, now the one thing that I remember when I first got my embroidery machine was the outline stitch. I was blown away by the outline stitch because it made whatever was in that picture just come alive. It was so exciting. And I thought, do you know how much time I'm wasting sitting here watching this do this? You know, and they said, oh, make sure you have a baby monitor on your machine. Don't walk away, blah, 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 blah. Because I thought, oh, well, maybe I'm weird because I don't walk away. I watch it. It fascinates me. It's the same way with the wave stitch, isn't it? As it's coming off the back, you're going, oh my gosh, that's so cool. It is a cool thing.
Wouldn't the wave stitch be great on that black and white with a green? Like
yeah.
Like a really
or royal
bright
blue.
green.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I love the wave stitch. And it's only, now correct me if I'm wrong, it's only on the Ovation, no, Evolution.
Yeah, Ovation and Triumph.
And
So
the
the
Triumph,
Triumph
yeah.
replaced the Ovation. So yeah.
Absolutely. I know, I love that. I think that's really cool. Okay, we're going to go to a different neckline, and this is the black and white one, and it's called the crossover. And if you look on your paper, you will see that. And I just finished this one, so I think you'll enjoy this one. This is the same crossover. It is in your book, and the directions are so extremely simple. You're going to be amazed at how simple they are. So I'm going to put it on and stand up and show you because I think it turned out really cute. Now, I like fabric that has two sides to it. I think that's why I fell in love with that French terry from Robert Kaufman, because this would be really great for this. But this fabric happened to be two-sided. So one side is the light gray and one side is the dark gray. And I think this one turned out really cute. And I love buttons. Remember, I'm the one that loves buttons. So let me stand up and then I'll pull my tank top out of the way so that you all can see it a little bit better. Get my chair out of the way. Isn't this cute? Okay, let me pull this one down. Hold on. There we go. Isn't that cute? And it's a great V-neck. Now, Carrie, we were talking about the V-necks earlier. This is a great V-neck, and it comes out really, really pretty. This is Chanel trim. That's all this is Chanel trim all the way around the V-neck. And you don't put one over top of the other until the very end, and then you sew the side seam. So it's a really, really great look. And if you see on that picture, it's done in the black and the white, and I just happen to have the gray and the gray. Isn't that cute? So any questions on this one? Cross over like this. That's all. And you notice that it crosses over right over left. And you know why women cross right over left, don't you? You don't know that? Oh, come on. Because women are always right. We are, aren't we? Yeah, go ask your husband. He'll tell you, yeah, you are. So anybody have any questions on this one? All right, so let's go to the next one. And if you look on there, that's green, and it's called the patty top. And basically, for lack of a better word, it has holes in it, all right? And you can see the holes. And I'm going to show you what you're looking at on your paper. And basically, again, the directions for cutting the neckline are in your book or on the garment itself. Now, I ran tubes through here, okay, in different colors, just to give it a little bit of flounce. But you can see these are just tubes of fabric. They're turned with a loop turner. That's all they are. And they're sewn into that strip. So on the directions, I literally give you the pattern for this strip that you're going to cut out of the front of your neck. It's just some kind of different neck. So I think this is a really cute top, but I want to show you what I did instead of the strips. I love chain. Do you all like chain? You can buy chain just as chain, but you can use old jewelry too. Isn't this cute? Can you see that? So it's just chain. That's all it is. And it just gives it a totally different look. So this one, if you look at it, I'll do them side by side. This one's kind of casual, or take them all out totally. And then this one is kind of dressy. Isn't that cute? So it's just chain in there as opposed to the strips of fabric. Now, all of you know how to turn a tube. Yes? Yes? Everybody knows how to turn a tube. Okay. Do all of you own a tube turner? Yes. Okay. Do you own the one that has a corkscrew at the end of it? And you slide your tube over it and corkscrew it and then pull it through? I love that one. But they also have a very inexpensive one, if you don't own one, that has a hook on it. That's all it is a hook. And you hook your fabric and turn it through the tube. So I want to show you something that you can really have fun with. And this is also in the book, by the way. So let me pull her over here. We're going to call her a name. There we go. Can you see the hole in the top? I tell you what, let me put it on. Y'all think it's easier to see it on than on a dress form? Yes, see it on me rather than a dress form. So hang on a second. Let me take the pins out of here. Somehow I don't want to get stuck. Let me put it on for you. This shirt is probably, I don't know, a couple weeks old. I love this shirt. I love the detail of this one. And it's called the Peekaboo Shirt. And again, it's in the book. So you all can look it up in the book. And the fun of this is literally you are cutting a hole in your shirt. See the hole? All right. Let me see if I can pull this down far enough. There we go. So you could fill it in with a color if you wanted to, like you just saw when I had the black tank up, or you can have a hole of your skin. Totally up to you. So this is how you're going to do this. And I'm going to get close to you so you can see it. Let me fill this up because I think you can see it better. Hold on. Fill it up like that. There you go. Can you all see the black now? Yes. Okay. So these are tubes of fabric. That's all it is. This was not cut out. This is a whole front. I pressed the front of it in half and pressed a crease in it because I needed to know where the center was of this shirt. Pressing a crease in the center of your shirt is so much easier to work with. It's amazing. So then I glued with a glue stick, with a basting glue stick, I glued the tube on like this on the front of my shirt. And I thought it was kind of cute. So I glued a second tube. Can you all see the second tube? I glued that on the front of my shirt. And then I went back on the sewing machine and I stitched it to the shirt. Does everybody understand that? And then I just cut away the back. Can't be any easier than that. I know it's mind-boggling, isn't it, Jill? It is. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling when somebody else thinks of these easy ways to do it. And when I joke with you all and tell you I dream in shirts, I really do.
So something to remind people of is somebody out there is wigged out, worried about what happened to the raw edge on the back. It's just a raw edge.
It's a raw edge. Knits don't ravel. You don't need to freak over them. It's just a raw edge. Now, when you trim something like this, you need to be very careful because you don't want to cut your shirt. So all you're trimming is the hole. Now, I want you to think about this. You can do exactly the same thing on your sleeve and you have a cold shoulder. You all know what a cold shoulder is? Your shoulder is literally cut out. And all you have to do is to sew the trim on, cut away the backside. Easy. You are all sitting there looking at me like, I'm not sure what she's saying. Does anybody have a question on this?
I just assumed you had bound that edge when I saw that top. So that's
Nope.
really cool.
Isn't it cool? It really is. And in your book, you have 3 of these. I have 3, and I call them teardrops. And you have 3 of these in the book. It's just a really fun detail. Well, you all already know I love detail. I love cut work. I love all the designs that you can buy for cut work. I just think it's the coolest thing in the world. And to me, this is the closest I can get to doing my own cut work. So I could do this all the way around the neckline if I wanted to. I could do it around the bottom of my sleeve. There's a lot of places that you could do this to have fun.
Judy,
Stitched on. Yes, Brenda.
did you sew both of those at the same time?
I did. I glued
Okay.
both of those at the same time and I sewed both of those. Now, not together. So the first one was stitched on and then the second was stitched on. And I stitched on both sides of that tube because that's really important that you do that because you're going to be cutting. You're going to be cutting away. But it's kind of amazing how fast it is to do and how easy it is to do. So go do it to some of your shirts and impress your friends. It's fun. It's just fun. Any question? Did you have a question, Kathy? No? Okay, you're good. Anybody else? All right, take this one off and let's go to the next one. Now the next one on your paper is called the boat neck. All right. And I'm going to show you a boat neck and then I'm going to draw a boat neck for you. So on your paper, and I sent you the directions for doing the boat neck and you got the facing pattern. All right. And the facing.
Judy, while you have that one off, can you please hold up that back side?
Sure,
of that?
the back side. Yeah. Let's see. Now remember, this has French fuse on it.
So Deb, the key thing to this piece, that back side of that, if you would have traditionally bound it, it would have boobed out at you.
Yeah.
It,
Right.
it would have caused a real mess for you. And if you'd have tried to make it as a facing, you still would have had all that bulk on there. So all the
Right.
bulk is, on the outside, creating a nice embellishment. Thanks, Judy.
So there's the front side. Let me hold this up a little bit closer. There's the front side. And then there's the back side. Easy.
So that's ballpoint needle, just a straight stitch.
Straight stitch.
Mhm.
Nothing fancy. Straight stitch. Yeah. I love this detail. And I'll tell you where in fact, a lot of my ideas have come, and I think I shared this with you all. My background was 30 years of making ice skating costumes. And one of the very first costumes I ever made was for my daughter. And I thought it would be really cool to take triangles and put it all over the front of her dress and then back it with metallic fabric. Doesn't that sound cute? Only the triangles were this big. And when she got on the ice, you couldn't see one of them. And I'm like, oh. And I worked so hard at doing that. I mean, there must have been 100 triangles on that dress. And I stitched around every single one of them. And
See, nowadays they would put lights in those, right?
I know. Oh, listen, I made a costume. I've made a costume with lights in it. My son, he was 8 years old, and he and his partner skated to the electric parade. And so they had Christmas tree lights. I made buttonholes in their costume, and they had the Christmas tree lights, through the buttonholes. But the battery, they had to turn it on, okay, before they went on the ice. And the battery was fat, kind of like this big. And his was sticking in the back of his pants, and you could see it. It was terrible looking. And hers was sticking in the back of her dress, and you could see it. It was terrible looking. But they looked cute when they were out there, and they were all lit up. Anyway, those are memories. Those are good memories. But I did do buttonholes. So before I go to the next garment, I'm going to show you all one before I actually go to the boat neck. And this is when we were talking about the camisoles. And I know, Deb, you were interested in this. So this is a yellow camisole. This was done on this embroidery work. This was done on oh gosh, what was it done on? Like a really sheer piece of fabric. I don't know if you can see it or not, on a really sheer piece of fabric. So it came, I literally just kept making it, on the embroidery machine. And then I could stitch it where I wanted to. And the only reason I did this, this is yellow sweater knit. It was too dull. Does that make sense? And so I thought this was a really good way. I didn't want buttons on it. So I thought this was a really good way to add a little bit of detail. Organza, this was stitched on organza so that I had a backing to it. So if I don't want it on there, all I have to do is take it off. Now, one of the things I do want to tell you, if you're doing something like this, or you're doing some kind of a detail to the front of your shirt, you don't have to stitch it. You can baste it because you're not buttoning it. There's no stress or anything on that detail. So you literally can baste that on if you want to. So then down the road, maybe a couple months down the road, maybe you find something else that you like better. So then you can literally undo it. And we all know basting stitches are a whole lot easier to take out than any other kind of stitches. So remember I told you that I love chain. So I made this one. Isn't this cute? And it's a faced V. Can you all see the V in that? And the V is asymmetrical, so it's off to the side. And then I closed up the two edges with the chain. Let me put this on for you. I think you'll be able to see it even with over the top of the black. I love this camisole because it's just, this one I wear by itself. It's just cute. No, you can't see it. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this under here. No, I can't, but wait a minute. Let me pull it over this one. Can you see the chain? There we go. You see the chain? So this is the V-neck part of it. This is just a faced V. And then I just connected it with the chain, but I didn't even need to have the chain on there because the whole inside of this camisole, the whole inside has French shoes on it because I knew I was going to have points. Remember the points, my points? And I want my points to stay where they're supposed to stay. So that's why I put the French shoes on it. So I think if I turn this inside out, you all will see this. It all has black French shoes on it. So the front and the back both have French shoes on it. Everybody go with that? Yeah. I love French shoes. It It is the one thing that will change your sewing life, literally change your sewing life. Okay, so let's go back to the boat necks. Now on your paper that Jill sent you, the directions, the PDF, you got the facing to the boat neck. And the facing comes two different ways. It comes with a point where you can literally tie the sides if you wanted to, or you could just turn it all to the inside like this one is, and you can glue it down if you want to. That's the way this one is. There's no stitching on there. Can you all see there's no stitching on that neckline at all? Now remember, I'm the one that complains because I have no neck. So a lot of people don't like boat neck. So I'm going to show you an alternative to get the look, but not quite the height to the boat neck. So let me put this on, and I think you'll see what I'm talking about with this boat neck. Now the fabric came like this. I didn't do anything funky to it. Can you all see how low this boat neck is on me? Okay, most boat necks hit you up here like this. So I want to show you an alternative to it. Now this is sweater knit, all right? And when I did this sweater knit, what I did was I pressed where the facing was to the inside of the neck. And then I reached up under it while I was on the ironing board and I pulled that facing down. So right, you can't see it because it looks straight, but right in the center kind of goes like this. So it dips because I have no neck. But I love the look of this neckline because it's gorgeous with jewelry. I'm gonna put a black one on in a second. It's beautiful with jewelry. Jewelry looks great on a boat neck. In fact, it looks better on a boat neck than it does on a scoop neck because you have this whole neckline going on. So no matter if your jewelry is short or long, doesn't matter. It's going to show up really good. So let me show you a little trick. Let me get my board again. And I'm going to show you a trick because this is a great trick. You can do, remember I showed you a phony neck, the phony princess line. I'm going to show you a phony neckline for a boat neck. So this is your neckline on your garment, and it looks like that. Okay. A boat neck is straight across like that. You see that? That's kind of what a boat neck is. And you sew from here out. And so that part between those two lines, that's what's open. That's what my neckline is into. Okay? Everybody see that? So I want to show you another way you can do this. So you can take your master pattern, just as is, and remember we scooped it out? You all scooped it out? You can do the same thing with the boat neck and cut your own boat neck. So we want to decide, this is where my shoulder seam is, and I'm going to do it in heavier. Can you see where the shoulder seam is? So instead of drawing that line straight across, I would take this line down like this, just a little bit. Can you all see that? And what that does is it makes this not stick up in your neck area. So then all I have to do is to cover it with Chanel trim, just like you do with your scoop neck. That makes sense to everybody? So this doesn't have to be straight across to look straight across. You can actually draw this differently.
So when you said a chenille trim, you mean one layer that goes down, straight down?
The Chanel trim is the way we cover a cut edge.
Right.
That's what we're using on the scoop neck. You can literally cover this with Chanel trim. Just this opening, just the opening. Or you could fold it to the inside and glue it in place. Or you could fold it to the inside and stitch it in place. There's a lot of ways you could finish this off because this is sticking up here. It's not gonna, you know, we use Chanel trim to keep everything next to our body so that if you bend over, you don't fall out. This is not going anywhere. This part's not going anywhere. So that literally could just be turned to the inside and top. But you're making your own. Does that make sense to everybody? So instead of a straight line across here, I scooped it out a bit. Because a lot of people don't like this. They don't like this. I love this look. Would never wear it in the summertime because it's up here. It's a little hot. So I wouldn't wear it in the summertime, but I love the look, and I love the look because of jewelry. I have two fascinations with fashion. One is shoes that I don't get as much of anymore because I have old, ugly feet. And the other is jewelry. I love jewelry, but I make all my clothes. So I feel like that's one of my, secret little passions. Anybody have a question on this one? So I'm going to show you another boat neck. And this boat neck, I did something a little bit special on the sleeves. So hold on one second. Let me take this off. And this doesn't have French views on it. This doesn't have French views on it at all, which is kind of funny. So this is my boat neck. This is, if it helps, Jill, that's Chanel trim. Okay. So that's Chanel trim is not anything you buy separate. Chanel trim is just a way to cover cut edge. Okay. So you could do that on the boat neck if you really wanted to. All right. Let me get this one. Hold on. I love this garment rack, but my arms aren't long enough to reach it. I don't know if you all saw that video. My arms aren't long enough and I cut things differently. I really do have short arms. We've moved into this new house and the kitchen cabinets do not go all the way to the ceiling, but they have 3 shelves. I can't reach that top shelf. So I put things on there, put things up there that I'm never going to see again because they'll never see it again. All right. So this is my other boat neck, but I want to show you something that I did to this boat neck. Now I've shared with you all before that I love black because to me, black garments, this is so funny looking in this screen because I know you all don't know this, but I do. Everything is backwards. Everything I see in here is backwards. So it's kind of hard to get dressed. But anyway, I love black fabric. I quit using a lot of black fabric since I started Zoom classes because you all fussed at me because you couldn't see things. So I quit using a lot of black, but I still love black fabric. And I love black fabric because to me, it's like your background fabric. But anyway, you can see where I started the neck. Can everybody see where I started to stitch the shoulders? And I left this part open. Now, you may wear bra straps and the bra straps may show. So all you have to do is just stitch it up a little bit more. You don't want your bra strap showing because this is the neckline itself. So all I did was I sewed maybe about 3 inches of this shoulder. This again is another one of the Dolman sleeves. And then I just stopped and back tacked and I left it open. You see that? So that's the way the sleeve hangs. Now, when I left it open, I just turned it to the inside like that and top stitched, and it gives me that kind of a detail on the sleeve. Any questions on that? See why I dream in t-shirts? Any questions? No? Okay. Do you all like that one? I love this one. This top is really, really comfortable. And this top is Robert Kaufman fabric. So I love it. It's very, very comfortable. No questions? All right. Let me show you one last garment. And I love this garment. I love this neckline. This is called the bobby top. And it's asymmetrical. So let me put it on and then I'm going to show you how this is done. Now the boat necks, wait a minute before I take this off. The boat necks that are on your paper. You see the boat necks, the pictures of the boat necks down here? And I'm going to spark a memory with you guys. Do you all remember Monet jewelry? Y'all remember? Yes? Okay. Do you all remember when we wore jackets that had lapels and we always had a pin? You remember that? And they were always Monet jewelry. I have more Monet pins than you can shake a stick at because my husband decided that every anniversary, every birthday, I needed another pin. So I have lots and lots and lots of them. But I will show you something that's fun to do, especially if you don't like this up here. And that's what's in the red shirt. You can take this like this. Look how pretty this neckline is. And you can put a pin right here, a really pretty one of your pins, like one of your Monet pins that you don't wear anymore. This is a beautiful neckline. And to me, it's a beautiful neckline on anybody. Now, if you've been anywhere near fashion magazines, they love doing this on fashion magazines. Women that have double chins and round faces should never wear glasses that are round You shouldn't wear jewelry that has detail hanging on it that's round. Oh, there's all kinds of rules that you should do, which is fine. You know, that's fine. Women like me that have a little round face shouldn't wear a scoop neck. I do, but I wear a scarf with it. So there's all those kinds of rules, and yeah, where would you like? Where's what's comfortable? But I do love this neckline. I think this neckline is really, really dressy. I mean, I have gone from a very casual shirt to an extremely dressy shirt by just putting a pin in it. And it could be a very, very simple pin. You don't need a, rhinestone pin. That's what's in that shirt. There was a rhinestone pin. But you could dress this up as much as you wanted to, put it with a pair of black slacks, and you really are dressed up easily and very, very comfortable. So tell me, you all can shake your head yes, or you can shake your head no. You don't offend me at all. Do you like this neckline? You all like this? It's very attractive, isn't it? Yeah. It's a really pretty neckline on anybody or any face shape. That's kind of what I was getting at. Doesn't matter what your face shape is. It's kind of like, and I know you all seen this kind of rule too, like if you have a really long, skinny face, you shouldn't wear a V-neck because it drags you down kind of thing. Again, wear what you're comfortable in. If you're comfortable in that, fill it in with something or wear a different kind of jewelry or something like that. But I think this is a fun neckline. So I'm going to show you the same neckline, but this one is done intentionally. This one's just an accident, but this is done intentionally. So let me show you that neckline. Put this over here. This is called the bobby top, and I'm going to put this on so that you all can see it. And then I'll pull it down again. And this is in your book, by the way. The bobby top is in your book. So this is what it looks like. And I'll stand up and I'm going to pull this down so that you all can see the neckline. Can you see that it's asymmetrical? Can you see the points over on the side? And that point is right over my bust. I mean, directly over my bust. So this is a really pretty neckline. It's just a little bit different. Now, I'm going to show you how this is done because it's really, I promise you, it's very, very simple. So I'm going to show you on this wonderful little detailed garment. So I found my bust, where my bust is, and you can see that I've cut the pattern apart. Can you see that? I've cut the pattern apart. And when I cut it apart, remember, you always have to add a 1/2 inch to put the pattern back together again. Because if you just sewed it together again, it would be off grain, number one, but it would also be too tight on you. So whatever you cut apart, wherever you cut apart, you have to add a 1/2 inch to put it back together again, because the whole goal is to go back to what you started with. So I cut a V in it, all right? So I'll fold that down so you can see. So can you see that's the beginning of what I have on? That's the asymmetrical part. That's okay. So then the other side looks like this. And again, it has the 1/2 inch seam. And when I put these two together like this is what I come up with. And this is exactly what I have on. So it tells you in the book exactly where to cut this. And I can already tell you that this is cut right over the bust because this is asymmetrical. And anytime you do anything that's off to one side, just make sure that you keep it over the bust line. That's all you really need to do. But this is a really cute idea because you actually have the seam. Now, one thing you can't see, and I'll stand up and show it to you, but it's a little bit harder for you to see. Let me back up. There is a pleat down here at the bottom. So it's stitched so far down, and then there's a pleat in it. So this again is ITY fabric, and you can see the way that it hangs. But I love the pleat in it because it gives you just a little bit more room. Some people have bigger tummies. Their bust is normal
Judy,
size.
could you stand up and show us that again? Step back
Sure.
and show
Yeah.
us,
Hold
please.
on a second. Let me back this up. Back this up. So there's the pleat. See down at the bottom? So when I pulled this apart, I pulled it apart at an angle. So I left extra fabric down at the bottom, but it tells you exactly how much to do that. But it's a really pretty, like I said, it hangs really pretty. One of the things I love about the pleat that is if you happen to have a tummy, which I do, and I have smaller hips than I have tummy. So my tummy is a little bit bigger than my hips. It gives me room. And the room that I love to have is when I sit. Now, I don't know that you guys think about this. When you make a straight shirt or even a straight jacket and you zip it and then you sit, it pulls, right? It pulls right across where you're sitting. And I don't like that. That drives me nuts. So I either leave a vent on one side, which is an easy thing to do. You just don't stitch it all the way to the bottom, or I put extra fabric in it. Now, I've talked about this one before, and this was the very first class that we did on the top, where I added the right angles to the side of the shirt. That's just a little bit of fabric. That's not much fabric at all, but it's enough when you sit, your shirt still hangs straight down. Did y'all ever think about that when you wear a shirt? Yeah, sometimes you don't really think about it until you put shirt on, and then it's like, oh, I don't like that. So by adding a little, we're not adding a bolt. We're not adding yardage, a little, just a little. When you sit, your shirt still hangs straight down. It doesn't pull on you. Okay, any questions on that? So I hope you've gotten some new necklines. Oh, wait a minute. Hold the phone. I gave you the directions for the Jessica top, right? So I'm not going to put this on because it's hard for you to see on, I can tell you. So I'm going to hold this up in the, can you all see the collar on that? See, and then I put buttons on the collar. You see the buttons on the edge? So that's a really big collar in the front. And it's a really pretty collar, especially if you have a sweater knit. This is really pretty in a sweater knit, but the collar hangs beautifully, and I love the buttons on it. I think the buttons really do it justice. And then on the back side, it's the collar as well. Everybody see that? Any questions on this one? Now you have the pattern for this collar. You have the pattern in that PDF that Jill sent you. So you have the pattern for this collar. And again, it's just a different look. It's just a different look. This does not, ride up your neck or anything. It hangs very, very nicely down the front of your neck. Any questions on that? No? Everybody good? Okay. So I hope you've gotten some new ideas for our necklines. I hope you've gotten some ideas on how to create your own different looks, on something that you see on a garment or in a store. Now somebody told me, gosh, this was yesterday, somebody told me this, they don't have the dressing rooms open in the stores. You all know that, or no? Anybody know that? I don't know that because I don't go shopping in the stores. If I see something I really like, I'll just whip out my cell phone and take a picture of it.
Yeah, I went a couple of weeks ago and they didn't have them open at Kohl's.
At Kohl's?
Yeah,
okay.
or Penny's.
Or Penny's?
Yeah.
Yes, Brenda.
Judy,
Uh-huh.
you haven't said, I know you don't wear turtlenecks, but I love turtlenecks. Do you have any instructions about how to do a turtleneck?
No, and I'm going to tell you why. Then this is the easiest explanation in the world. Unless you can find fabric that can be stitched down and put over your head, turtlenecks are a little hard to do. Now you can put a zipper in the back of your turtleneck to keep it next to your neck. And I'm going to take you back, Emery, to Stretch and Sew. Do you remember Stretch and Sew? No. Okay.
No.
Stretch and Sew sold the most beautiful knits. And with the beautiful knits, they sold ribbing that matched the knit. I mean, they were beautiful. But that ribbing would stretch and then it would come back. So it had great recovery. So you could pull it over your head. You're not going to find very many fabrics that you could literally pull over your head that would fit your neck. I mean, if you're looking in the screen at yourself on the computer, look how tiny your neck is.
Yeah.
Something that's going to fit you tight. Now you can do this because it's very simple to do. You need to decide how high you want that turtleneck. And that's how high, that's the amount that you would use in your neck area. And I'm going to bet that probably no more than 16 inches around there to keep it next to your neck, but you have to put a zipper down the back to get it over your head. But it's an easy thing if that's what you want.
Margaret, I think you're looking at like a modification of the Dondi. So,
Uh-huh.
you know, like if you were looking at like what you're wearing right now is a modification of a Dondi. And so, and that's, we don't see turtlenecks like we, you know, back in the 80s or
Yeah,
90s.
you used to be able to make.
And so, so when we're looking at that and we're looking at what you're wearing right now, I would start with the Dondi. The other one is that I would look at those, the Laguna knits that we have at the store, because the Lagunas have a cotton and they have a little bit of spandex in them. And that's kind of the issue is that if you have too much, if it's all cotton, 100% cotton, it'll stretch to get your head through there, but it's going to stay stretched until you
It'll
launch
stay
it.
stretched. Yeah.
So then you're going to get some drape to it. But, you know, just to start looking at the Dondi pattern and the Dondi modification, and then make it smaller, you know, until, but it's going to be based on the fabric that you used.
I would start, Margaret, by only cutting the neckline down 2 inches. Okay. Because that's kind of what Jill is telling you. We're cutting ours, and Deb is right above you in the picture, and she's the one that has made the Dondi. I bet you cut your Dondi down at least 4 inches, right? Deb? No, you didn't do?
No, I haven't made the Dondi.
Oh, who said they made the Dondi? Oh, I'm sorry, Phyllis.
Phyllis did.
Did you cut yours down about 4 inches? Yes, about 4 inches. So I want you to cut yours down too. And it's exactly what Jill just said. You've got to get that over your head. I mean, that's, and do you all remember, now I don't know if you all remember this, but I remember this, taking t-shirts off of kids and then you kind of pull their ears up like this as you were taking it off. It's a kind of the same thing with you. Oh, you're not going to scream. You're just going to get mad at yourself because you can't get it off. So baste it on, because what you can do is you can always lower your neck a little bit more. Does that make sense, Margaret?
Yeah.
So but I would only start with 2 inches. I would start with 2 inches and cut it out only in the front. Don't cut it out in the back. Put your Dondi neckline on, and that's exactly what Jill's saying. It will stick close to your neck. And if that works, yay. And if it doesn't work, you'll have to cut the neckline down a little bit more. You have a question?
I did.
Okay.
I've been seeing a lot of ruffles around necklines lately. How would you put a ruffle around a neckline?
Hold on 1 second. And I'm
gonna there you go.
No, just stay right where you are. I'm going to see if I can find my ruffle real quick. Hold on.
Okay.
You can talk about me. Wait a minute.
I've seen some ruffles that are not double turned under, that they're single turn knit, or single, they're not even turned under, and they're pretty darn attractive, you know. But the ones I've seen have been sandwiched in between a binding, which I'm not sure. Hopefully, she has something else for that.
Let me explain something about a ruffle. Okay. You can have ruffles that are all gathered, which is not what I think you want. You don't want to gather around your neck. Then you're going to look like a clown. But you can have a bias ruffle. That's what I'm going to show you. So hold on 1 second. And I think, don't quote me on this, but I think that you have the directions for doing this. Now I just saw that. The directions for doing this in your book, how to do the ruffle. If not, it's on the website. So I'm going to show you. No, shoot, that's not it. I'm not going to show you. All right. Anyway, the ruffle that I'm talking about, Brenda, is really simple. It's a donut. Literally, it's a donut. So it's a circle with another circle cut out of it. And then you cut the circle. So now you have it stretched out. Is this making sense to you? And the ruffle is hanging at a bias. So here, where it's cut, where it would be stitched to the neck edge, that is not gathered at all, but it stretches. So you can stretch it onto the neck. Now, usually what I do is I make a donut about this big, and I cut 2 of them and stitch the 2 together. So the ruffle is pretty long, and then it'll go all the way around your neck and go down the front. It's really pretty. And it's funny because it's come back. I did this years and years and years ago, and now the ruffles are coming back. Do you remember seeing the ruffle around the sleeve when I talked about the sleeve that time? It is exactly the same thing, except that it's going around the neck. So it's really attractive, but all it is a donut. And the one thing that I love about it being a donut, which is all it is that it hangs down nicely and it isn't, for lack of a better word, ruffly. Because I don't think that's what you're after. I think you're after something that has the detail to a ruffle, but it hangs nicely. So it's kind of like a bias ruffle, if that makes sense to you. Does that answer you? Does that help? Okay, cool. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Margaret, turn your mute off.
Oh, did you say that ruffle is in your book?
When I said that, I think I spoke out of turn. I don't think it is.
Okay, I think
on my website. If you go on my website,
yeah, I put a
the
note
variation on the
notes.
tops.
I put a note in my notes to ask Judy later.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I'll
Send
ask her to get us
PDF for the
another
ruffle.
for it. So I put it on my list.
I will
Thank you.
send her the PDF for the ruffles, and there's also a video that goes with that. And so you all will have the PDF for the ruffles with the video.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. Anybody else? So we'll see you in 2 weeks. You know, we'll be almost in May. Oh my God.
Yikes, that much closer to when we get to see each other, right?
I know, I can't wait.
So the cool things about this is that we actually are understanding each other's language. Judy, we work well together. And thank you, Carrie, and all the rest of you who remind me if I miss an attachment or something. But that's good. That's good. So I think we're getting a lot of really good information. I really appreciate you guys bringing the information in, like the ruffles, Brenda. And you know, I really appreciated seeing the Dondi a little bit more, and it's a good adaptation for Margaret. So we'll get the recording up to you, sans the additional necking information.
I want to know if you all shared that email with your husband. Anybody share it? Are their friends or their sister? Did you? Did he have a big kick out of it? Yeah, I shared it with my husband too. He thought it was hysterical. He just thought it was hysterical. Oh, you don't have to take her. She's so cute. She's so cute. One of the great advantages when you come in July is you all be able to see all these clothes in person. You know, sometimes seeing them, you know, like this, and then being able to feel them and like, you know, oh, I didn't know it was that kind of fabric kind of thing. It really makes a big difference. This is one of the reasons that I love that the airlines lets me take 50 pounds. I love 50 pounds.
Jill?
Yes.
Jill, how long are we going to have access to the recordings from these sessions?
You know, I'm going to keep them up a fair amount of time. Eventually, I mean, you guys haven't, I see when they're shared. So what I really am proud of you guys is that you're not sharing them with other people. But, you know, we want to make sure that we keep them up. I'm kind of thinking keeping them up until the end of June. So, yeah.
Well, that's nice.
Because I think it's nice for you because we did, you know, I mean, you paid to attend, so we want to make sure it's available for you to go back and explore. And I know the girls are starting to work through them as well. My team is. So, okay.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
And please, 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 please keep in mind that you have my email address. So if you have a question, you know, like Carrie, the question that you had, you're welcome to email me. Okay. And I'll try to answer as best I can.
Judy,
Yes.
I did email you something and it came back.
You may not put all the letters in.
I'll try again.
Yeah. You know, and I hate to say this, but some of the words end in S. You know what I mean? Like it'll be, instead of fabric, it'll be fabrics.
Yes.
Yeah. Emails have to be correct or
Yeah.
they don't like you. But you know what? Jill,
Actually, Margaret, if you're having trouble with that, just email me a reply and then I'll send you Judy's email. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You can put it in the email when I
Will do.
Yeah.
Will do.
If you all have a question, but I hate to say, oh, I lost an earring. I hate to say that, Margaret, but boy, if you don't put it in there correctly, it's going to come back to you. Yeah. You know, people are starting. I am not computer savvy. Maybe you guys are, but I'm not. And they're starting to do, maybe you get this, Jill, I don't know. They're starting to send me emails. I don't know who they are. I know who they are. If you put in Margaret Franklin, I know who you are, but they're starting to send me emails with numbers in them. Do you get those? And then when it comes up, it's a text that I have to open. What is
There's some people who, like, if they use their, I don't understand how they exactly do it, but that if you see that text document, you have to double click on it and it comes up. I think the world is stuck between text and email, and for some people it's easier to manage their phone that way.
the trouble is they ask me questions and they don't sign the letter or they don't sign the email. Whereas if your email comes in, I can almost guess who you are, by what your email, like Phyllis, you might be Phyllis M, and all I have to do is to see your question. And I knew you came to class today. So I can relate it. But when they do those numbers, I have no idea who those people are. And they ask me a question like I've known them all my life and I'm lost. I'm totally
I
lost.
don't have a problem that they send me a message that way, but when they get offended when I say, who is this?
Yes. And I hate to do that, but I have to do that.
Who the
'cause-
heck is this? And
yeah, I have
ask
no
me such
idea
a
who you
personal
are.
question.
Yeah. So if any of you have those numbers, please tell me who you are when you send me an email. So ladies, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Stay warm. Hopefully the weather's going to turn. We'll all be warm again. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Make sure you bring your stuff home with you because you're going to find out all kinds of fun details that we can do to our garments.
Right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Judy.
Thanks, ladies. I love seeing y'all. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks, Jill.